Too far away.
Well, this gamer's feeling energized.
That was the start of it?
Yep.
Shit.
Welcome to season 3 of the Too Bad We Didn't Get in a Cars podcast, everybody. My name's Nick Scarpinato, and this is, what's your name again?
Lord. I believe my name was David Kabushikars, but I can be mistaken.
It's been a long time since we started doing this podcast, and it's been even a longer time since I and David have been gamers. And we are not sponsored. We will never be sponsored by G Fuel. But I just started drinking G Fuel the other day. And let me tell you guys, I am still refusing to play online games. I don't give a shit. I don't want to get killed by 13-year-old kids. I'm not going to do it. I don't care if they put anime into Fortnite. I'm not going to play Fortnite. Fuck that. I would rather be trapped in a bear cage with honey taped, a pot of honey taped to my taint for a fortnight than play the game Fortnite.
Just like Danger Aaron was.
We just watched Jackass not too long ago. Happy March to the Jackass boys. And happy March to you all. We finally made it through the winter. And we're finally in spring. David, how do you feel about that? How does that make you feel?
There is no spring.
Okay.
Spring is a made-up bullshit holiday made up by the government to make you think winter's over. But just you wait. In a couple of weeks, we're getting a blizzard. It's going to happen. We are getting a blizzard soon, and it's going to suck. But you know what? Oh well.
Are we? Did you check that?
It always happens every year.
Maybe this year's different. Maybe this
it.
year global warming actually will catch up to us in the Midwest and we won't get bullshit weather for the entire year. Maybe we'll start getting the weather that everyone else is getting. And it's going to be really hot for the rest of our lives and we won't remember what snow is.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I doubt it entirely. Sorry, Batman.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We've been enjoying March so far. We turned back the clocks the other night, and that was
Forward.
Turn them forward the other night. I lost so many hours of sleep. My brain's not working functionally. That's not how you say that, Nick. That's not how you phrase that. I think I've always been this dumb. I think I've always been this stupid. I don't think that's ever changed. But what has changed is how I feel about February, how I feel about March. I think I'm starting to evolve into a spring boy. I think so. There's just something about being able to crack the windows open for the first time in months. There's just a feeling about that. There's just a, and really it's only the first couple of weeks. Same with fall, where for the first couple of weeks it's not hot as all hell anymore, and you can wear sweaters and jeans again without wanting to melt into a puddle and die. But with spring, it's nicer because I hate the cold. I hate the cold more than I hate being hot. That's a lie. I've said the opposite thing on this podcast before. I think I'm just so conscious about making the first 5 minutes of the podcast interesting that I'm just saying whatever comes to mind.
Bopper the boopy. Bopper the boopy, bazinga, dick. What are we talking about?
I don't think this G Fuel is working. Well, first of all, we want to... It feels weird not to talk about this, given that we've discussed Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super in the past numerous times. But this past week, the great Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dr. Slump, Sand, Land, the character designer for Dragon Quest, and inspiration to many.
Chrono Trigger as well.
Chrono Trigger as well.
That's what that was.
Had passed away, and I, like many people our age, was very caught off guard, and I'm still not fully sure that I've processed it all the way, because that man was such a instrumental part in my childhood and the enjoyment in my childhood. And we talked about Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2, which was my first home console game ever, and I played the shit out of that game, and I had Dragon Ball Z t-shirts, and I would stay up to watch Toonami, and it feels like the first celebrity death in a very long time that seems to have this big of a wave, but specifically with people our age or a little bit older. Obviously, Matthew Perry passing away was a huge hit to folks who grew up in the early 90s and was watching Friends, and Stan Lee affected a lot of people because there were folks that read his comics growing up, and then there are folks like us who watched movies based on his comics and saw all his cameos. But for Akira Toriyama, it's crazy because, the dude rarely showed his face. He was very private, but he still affected a lot of people's lives. So, yeah, I just want to talk about Dragon Ball for a second, because you only recently got into Dragon Ball, I would say, in the grand scheme of things. I feel like it hasn't been too long for you.
God, what was it, like 2019, maybe?
Yeah.
I think is when I started. So
I think it was around the time you started dating Haley, because I remember we were driving back from something. I forgot what movie we saw, but there was a conversation that we had. You were still in the Lyle apartment, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And we were coming back from something, and you asked me where the best place to start would be if you wanted to get into Dragon Ball. And I think we talked about watching Broly and then as a starting point and seeing if you even like it, because Broly is kind of a whole package deal as far as what Dragon Ball offers. But also it's a good anime movie. It's a good Dragon Ball movie.
Yeah, might as well start from the best.
Right, and then it's all downhill from there. But yeah, and myself and our friend Josh Lopez, shout out Josh, we were both really into Dragon Ball for a very long time, and then even more friends that we made as we got older were also into Dragon Ball. So I'm sure for you there must have been a desire to share that with us, I don't know why you wanted to watch Dragon Ball.
It's because I was the only one who didn't. Literally the only one who didn't.
Yeah. So what was the first thing that you watched? Was it Broly?
It was Broly.
Yeah.
Besides all the random clips that Josh would show me over the years with like Krillin exploding and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first full actual real thing I watched.
Yeah. And it was good enough. It was good enough to keep you going.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both downloaded Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, which to this day is...
I just hit my 1300th day in a row playing.
That's crazy.
Which is like 3.5 years.
Yeah. And the fact that both of us... It's crazy to think that Dragon Ball it's become a part of my everyday life. Which it sounds silly to say, but even just logging into that game every day and seeing Goku and all of these characters that I've grown to love over the past however many, like 15 or 16 years that I've been a fan of this series, it just hits really hard. And when you think about the influence that this guy had on not only anime but pop culture as a whole, I can't tell you how many highlight reels I've seen of professional athletes, instead of like a victory dance. They'll do the fusion dance with another teammate, or they'll do a Kamehameha, or they'll like do the instant transmission pose. And going Super Saiyan and forms like that, it's so crazy to think how many artists were influenced by Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time, that now in almost any anime you see, in a lot of like Sonic the Hedgehog apparently was based almost directly on Goku. Like Goku and Krillin were very much an inspiration for Sonic and Tails, and Silver was literally like the creator of Silver the Hedgehog was like, no, think Trunks from Dragon Ball. And it was like time traveling, silver haired, Super Sonic. Like, we can't ignore,
Yeah. 7 Chaos Emeralds.
7 Dragon Balls, Shadow being the Vegeta and then becoming an ally later on. It's like, I know I'm only talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, but you could type into YouTube right now Dragon Ball Z references in other media and shows.
There was a whole panel of just direct homages to the Yamcha death on the ground.
Yeah. There's also a lot of Dragon Ball references in music. Specifically, like hip hop uses a lot of, artists will write a lot of lines that reference like Kaioken or Super Saiyan or instant transmission or Krillin or Senzu Beat. Like, I don't know, man. There's just so many artists who have Akira Toriyama to thank almost entirely for the reason why they're into art and they're into creating. And I know a lot of people who are also like, Dragon Ball Z saved my life, and Goku and Gohan inspired me to be a better person and study and train my mind and my body. And there are like professional bodybuilders and people who started working out because Goku, they wanted a physique like Goku. And it was, oh man, it's just so cool. It's so cool to see. And I remember the first year that they had the Goku float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Every year since that he's been a part of the parade, I get like weirdly emotional because it feels like such a full circle moment for myself and a lot of anime fans who grew up getting bullied for shit like that. And now it's just so much more widespread and mainstream, and it's just dope. And if it wasn't for Akira Toriyama and Dragon Ball, I don't think we'd be here. I mean, like, I would have been born, but,
Yeah.
It's just weird knowing that anything that comes out Dragon Ball wise now, he's going to be gone for the release of. So, yeah, man, just, if you haven't watched Dragon Ball, I highly recommend it, as an entry point anime. It's so good. And I'm sure there are lots of friends that you have that like Dragon Ball, so they can help you out. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about Toriyama Sensei. Not that he was my sensei, but everyone calls him Toriyama Sensei. Remember when all of Twitter was just Toriyama stuff?
Yeah, it was like the whole 2 days.
Yeah,
probably still is. Well, that's like Oscar stuff, but
right. So anyway, now that we've touched on that, we're gonna get back to the fun stuff. We're gonna get back to the stuff that you all came here and paid to see and listen to. I hope you didn't actually pay for this. This is not worth any money, in my opinion. Maybe a crushed carnival penny.
Or like a Chuck E. Cheese token.
No, you know what? Yeah, Chuck E. Cheese token, that works for me. Anyway, it's another me episode, everybody. Season 3 is starting off strong with some G Fuel and obituaries, and also some more games and albums and movies that I like. And we're going into March. We're going into a new season, going back in time, talking about our favorite classic movies. Now, the criteria for classic movies, we didn't really figure it out. David is under the belief that classic movies are black and white.
Yeah.
And
Right? I mean, like before color was invented.
Yeah.
The first movies ever, aka the classics.
The classics. I think classic. We're in 2024, man. Like, I feel like classics. I'm at least extending them to the 70s because there are movies that came out in the late 60s and 70s that are also considered classic, and that's the criteria that I'm using because there is a series of movies that I have loved since high school that I am very excited to talk about, and that is, of course, the Rocky movies. Specifically the first Rocky, because I feel like as far as those movies are concerned, there's only one that could be considered a genuine film, not counting the Creed movies, because those feel like a separate, obviously they're a spin-off. But as far as the main 6 movies go, the original Rocky movie is as much a classic film as any of its fellow nominees.
Oh man, speaking of tragic celebrity deaths, man, Carl Weathers.
Yeah, dude. Shit, man. Yeah, fucking Apollo Creed also passed away this past year.
God, Sylvester Stallone was like crying in his like tribute video.
Oof.
Man hit it hard.
Yeah, I mean that was his best friend for a long time. Like even after Rocky, I'm sure they both were very, very close. And I know you don't really see a whole lot of that in Rocky 1. It is mostly, it is about Rocky Balboa, but for those of you who don't know, Rocky is the story of a amateur boxer, Rocky Balboa, who lives in Philadelphia. And
okay, you know what? Everybody knows. And if you don't know, watch the fucking movie. It's been like 60 years.
Yeah, it's been like 60
Get on it.
And it's a great movie. Not only is it a great, people call it a sports movie, which is fine. I think it's a character study.
It's boxing.
Yeah, it's boxing, but it's also it's a story about Rocky Balboa, and it's a story about his.
You're gonna eat lightning and you're gonna crop thunder.
Oh yeah, Mickey Rooney, right? Or no,
Mickey Rooney, isn't that the scab eater from like Family Guy?
Yeah. No, Burgess Meredith.
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yeah.
Okay.
AKA Mickey.
Oh, AKA Mickey. Yeah.
Mickey.
What can I say about Rocky that hasn't already been said on the internet before? It's got one of the most triumphant main themes of all time. It's got the sequence where he's running up they're now called the Rocky Steps. Everyone knows them as the Rocky Steps. I think, didn't they build a statue there too?
I think so.
Of Rocky doing the when he's like doing that. I remember the first time that I watched Rocky. I did not know it won Best Picture, by the way, until today when I looked it up. But the first time I watched it, I had only known Rocky from pop culture and from the movies that were, for all intents and purposes, like blockbusters, right? Where it's popcorn movies. And so I thought going into the first Rocky movie that I was going to get something like Rocky 4. And that's not the case at all. It is a very low budget film, and it shows. There's a lot of shots of Rocky just doing very mundane things, walking around Philadelphia when he's training, when he's running with his hoodie and his and his
he's
sweatpants,
like threatening guys because they keep ducking his boss or whatever,
right?
Or just like helping that little child away from those hoodlums.
Yeah, dude, and it's like, as much as it is about boxing, it's also just about watching a guy come from nothing essentially and become one of the most famous. And for Sylvester Stallone too, I feel like there was a lot of parallels between Sylvester Stallone's life and Rocky's life, as far as they were pretty much unknowns until, for Rocky it was one match against Apollo Creed, and for Sylvester Stallone it was one movie, and overnight he became one of the biggest movie stars in the world. And when Rocky 2 comes out, I was telling you earlier, when you go from watching Rocky 1 to Rocky 2, the change in tone, the shift in tone is so dramatic. It goes from being a small budget, very personal, almost art house film about a boxer in Philadelphia to, no, this is a Rocky movie now. This is a Rocky movie, and he's being swarmed by paparazzi, and it just has a different feel altogether. I don't know how else to describe it. But I didn't know that the first Rocky was also written and directed by Sylvester Stallone, which is also crazy that it was just a Sylvester Stallone
no,
vehicle.
it was not directed by
It
Stallone.
wasn't?
No, it was a different guy, because I know, because he came back to direct Rocky 5.
Oh.
Which was very jarring, because that one was ass.
Yeah. So it is.
I don't know who it was, but no, Stallone didn't direct it.
Okay. All right.
I think he did 4, actually.
Oh,
I think he did 4.
Which I also really like.
Yeah. Rocky 4 is a genuine masterpiece.
Rocky 4 is so good.
Made better, even better by Creed 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it you? Yeah, but I haven't watched Rocky in a while, but there's something so tender about the way that he plays Rocky and his relationship with Adrian, who it's an on-screen romance that feels very real. And I feel like up to that point in 1975, 76, that movie came out, maybe earlier.
Something like
that. At least as far as movies and pop culture go, when I had seen that movie, I had not seen a relationship like Rocky's and Adrian's. And sadly, I know the actress who played Adrian passed away before was it Rocky Balboa, or was it before 5?
I don't know if the actress... They killed the character off.
Okay.
I don't know if the actress is actually still around.
Okay. I can't remember. I feel like I saw something about her passing.
No, Paulie did.
Well,
Paulie just died.
Yeah, Paulie, yeah, her brother, /
Paulie!
Rocky's brother-in-law.
Yeah, such a good franchise, man.
It really is. And I know some people will write off the franchise because the Rocky movies are just so ingrained in pop culture. And
Talia Shear is still alive.
Talia's still alive?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
They just killed the character off.
I just keep getting fact-checked on my own favorite classic movie. But that's why I keep you around, buddy.
That's also because you decided it was your favorite like 20 minutes ago.
That's true. I was trying to figure out what criteria to use, and then I just decided to go with Rocky because, again, I watched those movies quite frequently.
Classic. I don't know. Just a really famous old movie, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and Rocky is definitely an old movie. So I think it falls under that. If it wasn't Rocky, it probably would have been a Bruce Lee movie, but I haven't gone back to see a Bruce Lee movie in forever.
Anything twice our age, I guess, qualifies.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, if you haven't watched Rocky, do yourself a favor and watch the first one. It's not anything like any other movie in the franchise except maybe the Creed films. But just if you go into it with no expectations, forget everything you know about Rocky, forget Eye of the Tiger, forget the Rocky steps, forget Adrian.
Then again, why are you watching like Rocky 3 before the first one, right?
Yeah, right. So watch the original Rocky, and you let us know if you think it's good enough to be considered a classic.
I thought it was overrated.
Did you?
The first time I watched it, because I watched it in high school.
Oh, sure.
Because one of my bandmates told me, or we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. It's been a long time, like 10 years.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, I watched the first Rocky. I was like, I thought it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was like, that's really the only one you need to see anyway.
It really is.
But I disagree hardcore.
Yeah.
3, because Mr. T is just amusing. 4, as we mentioned, is a masterpiece.
Yeah,
5, you can totally just skip.
5, you can skip.
I mean, like, yeah. Yeah, we're just talking about the first one. It's really good.
Yeah, first one's really good.
Good days.
So go see it. And yeah, I have to watch Enter the Dragon soon. I like a lot of old movies where people punch each other. I'm realizing. So anyway, we're gonna go from a classic movie about a very American dude to a not so classic album about a couple of very British dudes. And today we're talking about the Arctic Monkeys. We have talked about them before, but that was their new album back when it was new, The Car. And this is their second album, only their second album ever. It's called Favorite Worst Nightmare, which is my number 4 album of all time, and I'll tell you why. There are a couple of reasons. One, Brian Storm has one of the best. As far as album intros go, I love Brian Storm so much. It kicks off the album with a frenetic drum intro that I haven't seen done again in an album like that in a very long time. And it sets the tone for the next 35 minutes of music that you're about to listen to. The whole album just feels very... Apparently, they recorded the first album, and they were playing shows, and they were touring around the UK, and then their label was like, well, we need another album. And I think they recorded it all in the span of 2 weeks, something like that, because they just wanted to get back out and play shows. And you can kind of hear that in the actual album itself, where there are a lot of songs that are very fast-paced, and there's a lot of energy in the album. Obviously, the first one, you could argue, has more of a raw sound to it, whereas the second one feels a little bit more polished. But that's just because they were really fucking good, and the record label, I'm sure, threw more money at them to make the second one. But before I go on talking about the album, I want to talk about how I heard the Arctic Monkeys for the very first time, because I did not mean to hear them, and I did not mean for them to be my number 4 favorite album of all time. I, in high school, was a big fan of the Foo Fighters. We just talked about the Foo Fighters last episode. It won't be the last time that we talk about the band. But in high school, I wanted to watch their set at Glastonbury in, I think, 2011 or 2012. And I remember sitting downstairs in the basement on YouTube on my parents' computer, and I tuned into the live stream on YouTube, and I got there a little early. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this band that I've never heard of before, and they're playing their last couple of songs, and I'm kind of paying attention in and out of whatever they're doing. But as I'm waiting more and more, I start to listen more closely, and I realize, oh shit, these guys they're pretty good. And it was the Arctic Monkeys. And so after I watched the Foo Fighters set, I started looking at more songs from them. And at the time, I think they only had maybe 1 or 2 more albums that they had come out with after Favorite Worst Nightmare. And I listened to that whole album all the way down, trying to find their most popular songs. And so I listened to Brian Storm, I listened to Fluorescent Adolescent, I listened to 505, and then eventually I listened to the whole album. And yeah, it made me appreciate rock-based or riff-based British rock so much more. Because I had only just started to deviate from the riff-heavy metal shit that we listened to, and I was also trying to write songs that were riff-heavy rock songs, whatever. And so the Arctic Monkeys, they served as another inspiring, jumping off point for me in my writing, because I learned not every rock song has to have a big ass intricate guitar solo, but riffs are still cool.
God, that sucks. My camera's about to die.
Oh no. Well, we'll wrap this up then. David's camera is about to die, so you might have to use mine, buddy.
I thought it was pretty good. This is the second time I heard it when we listened to it in the car.
Yeah.
I'm a much more fan of the first one because it kind of like goes crazy ham, and this one kind of goes like it's like 70% ham as opposed to 100% ham.
Right.
That the first album goes.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of highlights I liked, and yeah, it's very short, sweet, to the point, and it's a great way to stay in shape. Those are my thoughts.
It's a great way to stay in shape. What is that? What is that from?
That's Family Guy.
And it's a great way to stay in shape. Fuck. I forgot what that was. Yeah, it's just frenetic British rock, and I know a lot of people know the Arctic Monkeys from songs off of the album AM, which are a little bit more, I wouldn't say mellow, but it is sort of the shift from their big rock sound to the now way more chill, way more laid back sound of albums like Tranquil Base, Casino and Hotel. I think that's the name of the album. And then The Car, which we listened to. And that was only after you had heard the first album.
Yeah, and it sucked.
So going from their first album, which is very fast and crazy and everything hits hard, to the literal exact opposite, was like going 100 miles an hour and then coming to a screeching halt because you got to a school zone. And
Car, more like the car crash.
That's good. That's so funny.
I didn't like it. That's okay.
That's okay. We're not gonna like the same things all the time. I just remember when someone in one of your rank your albums videos recommended Favorite Worst Nightmare. I got really excited because I was wondering how you were going to feel about it, listening to it intently and analytically. And it did crack the top half. It did crack the like good half.
Yeah, because that was before I heard the first one.
No, that was after.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, because you did the, well, I showed it to you.
Or right, you played it for me.
Yeah.
Like a while ago.
And then you did their first album for the previous rank.
Oh, right, because you played it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanna go see the Arctic Monkeys because apparently they still do play songs off this album and the first album apparently. And last night, funny enough, I hosted an open mic where we had Arctic Monkeys inspired drinks. So, if you're in Illinois, check out Arcadia Coffee in Downers Grove because we do fun stuff like that all the time. If you're an Arctic Monkeys fan, we're never going to do Arctic Monkeys drinks again, but come out anyway because I learned 505 just for you. And it's, like you said, it's very short, sweet. It's a great way to stay in shape, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. So if you have an extra half hour to spare and you want to listen to some Scooby-Doo ass shit, turn on Favorite Worst Nightmare, favorite with a U, of course, by the Arctic Monkeys. Or just listen to Brian Storm and see if you like that kind of sound, because it is very...
All right.
Well, I guess that's going to be our short clip of the episode because we're jumping right into our next thing, which is a series that we've talked about once before on the channel, but not specifically this chapter of the franchise in depth. I'm talking Gears of War, but specifically Gears of War 2, which was a game that I first was introduced to by our mutual friend Josh, and then you started playing it because you had a 360. And
No.
I didn't...
He showed us the first game. I remember specifically before the second one came out, you were telling us about how you were like, oh, you're going to be able to crawl around on the ground this time. And I remember Josh being like, all right, because as if you're going to be able to get away. So we were fans of it before 2 even came out.
That's crazy.
Which is nuts.
That is crazy. Well, because 2 came out in...
08.
08. Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
So we probably started playing in like 07.
Yeah, which wasn't even... We weren't even in a... I mean, that must have been, what, the fall of 6th grade then?
6, 7, yeah.
Yeah. So, not the franchise that I feel like most middle schoolers were playing at the time. I feel like there was a lot of Halo kids. But Gears of War was more violent, and we were into that violent shit. I grew up playing Grand Theft Auto 3 and watching Happy Tree Friends, and so many videos on Funny Junk and Newgrounds and shit like that were so violent. There was just we all had very violent little hearts.
Like Whack Your Boss and that Torture Room game.
Oh my god.
I don't even remember that one, but yeah, holy
just
shit.
Stick figures getting ripped apart and blood splattering everywhere. It was awesome. And yet I was still scared of scary movies that featured the same shit. So anyway, we were fans of Gears of War. We heard that a second one was coming out, and I don't know how to say this without coming off as just a generic middle school boy, but I spent so many hours playing that game. I think there were nights where we straight up only played Gears for like 5 hours at a time.
I play that game for a frightening amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, because you had the story mode where you had to collect all of the cog tags cog tags. There were achievements to get on the 360. Everyone I know was obsessed with getting achievements. There was just, I think that was the start of our completionist tendencies, was getting achievements on the 360.
Yeah, Seriously 2.0.
Yeah.
Which I never got, because I never got any of the Seriouslys because they're stupid.
Yeah,
but that one was like you got to kill 100,000 enemies,
which is nuts.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of enemies.
That's a lot.
But not only did you get achievements for playing the single player story, but you got achievements for playing the 2-player story as well.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of achievements to earn online playing. And this was back when games that featured multiplayer also had genuinely good single story games and and elements to their story that made them worthwhile to play through. Because nowadays, whenever a game comes out, either it's only single player or it's only multiplayer. And if a game does come out where it does feature one or the other, or both of them, one always gets compromised.
Yeah.
Do you remember when fucking the newest Call of Duty came out and people were genuinely pissed about the story mode? Yeah. They're like, it's 2 hours.
And Christopher Judge shat on it during the Game Awards, and then the Call of Duty developers got butthurt because the game was shit.
Yeah. And it's like, whatever happened to the days where you could buy a $60 game and get a genuine great experience either playing single player or playing multiplayer? Yeah.
Not only did it have like the multiplayer shit as well, that was the first game with Horde. Mm-hmm. That was a new thing where you just like...
And it was PvE, where, yeah, I mean, you explain Horde mode.
It's basically, I think every game ever has it now.
Yeah.
Or like Call of Duty Zombies, where you just fight waves after wave of enemies, and you just try to survive.
Yeah, and this is back before
50 waves.
Right.
There's a lot.
And I think, weren't there varying difficulties too, or was Horde just one difficulty?
No. I mean, there's, casual, hardcore, insane.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because every 10 waves, either their damage got buffed or their health got buffed or your damage got buffed. And like by the time you get to the last 10 waves, it was crazy.
Yeah. I don't
know if you ever actually finished Horde, but I did.
Yeah.
And it was nuts. I don't even know how the hell we did it.
I mean, because by the time you get to the last 10, they keep throwing like legit bosses at you, right? Like,
it was just like bloodhounds. You remember those fucking things? I forget what they're called, but they're like the Beast Riders, and they're on the fucking things.
Yeah, the crab leg things.
It was just like a million of those, the last wave. And like boomers and maulers, and holy shit.
Yeah, no more tickers, or no more wretches in the last 10 waves. It's just all the hard fucking, difficult enemies. So, obviously multiplayer is great. Horde mode is great. The story, I think, is potentially the best story in the Gears franchise, at least for me, because I always loved Dom. Whenever I played with one of you guys, I was always Dom, because Josh always wanted to be Marcus.
Yeah.
When we were at his house, he had to be player number 1, which makes sense. That's just the hierarchy of at-home games. So when Gears 2 focused a lot on Dom's story and his journey to try to find his wife Maria, and the gut punch of a twist that you get in the middle of the story. It's just really well told, and the acting for 2008 video games was really good, and all of the voice actors do a great job returning to their roles. John DiMaggio as Marcus Phoenix was great. Fred Tatsiacor, the guy who plays Fred in Scooby-Doo, plays Baird.
Really? I didn't know that. Holy shit.
Yeah. He's done a lot of voices. But
just plain talent. Shout out Dizzy.
Shout out
Dizzy's
Dizzy.
a classic.
Yeah, Dizzy was a new character in Gears 2. I feel like there was a lot more emphasis on going underground in the actual Locust Hive in Gears 2. Because in Gears 1, that wasn't really an aspect that you explored, because you were mostly on the surface for Gears 1. And then in Gears 2, I feel like more than half the game takes place underground.
Yeah.
You have to fight is the Leviathan in Gears 2?
No.
Is that Gears 3?
No.
Yeah. What's in Gears 2? There's a big...
Corpser. The Corpser fight.
Corpser.
Or was that the first one? Shit. No, that was the first one, right? I think there's probably just a second Corpser fight.
Probably.
Yeah, you go to the Mount Kadar in the mountains, and there's like you're driving the stupid ass thing.
Yeah. There's a... Oh god, dude. There's a line where
Cole's speech.
it was in the elevator.
Delta Squad's in your house, bitch. You hear that shit? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's from that.
Yeah, a lot of quotable things. And playing through the story mode actually makes you want to unlock all of the characters in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Which is, again, super rare these days. Because you get attached to these characters, and this is the second game that you get to see them. And I would talk about Gears 3, but Gears 2 is my number 9 favorite game of all time. Only because it was one of the first games that I ever truly got to experience online with my friends. And I know there are better versions of Gears out there, more technically impressive versions. I know I probably put in more time playing Gears 3 because there were a lot more gameplay aspects of Gears 3 that I preferred going back to. But when I think about staying up all night playing Gears of War, I think about the second one. And I think about all the maps that were in the second one.
Dude, I used to have this little notebook
Yeah.
that I would actually keep track of like the most amount of kills I got in matches.
Yeah.
And I think my number one, it was like a 3 around King of the Hill on day 1, which was like my favorite map on that game.
Day one's really good.
I had like 160 kills.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude, I played Gears 2 so fucking much. So much. And I the whole notebook was just filled with all these amount of kills and shit.
Yeah.
You know, I take my hard drive, I take it out, walk over to Dale's house. We'd fucking play multiplayer and just team kill Hoffman the whole time. It was great, man. It was great. There's so many good memories. But then, yeah, Gears 3 was just a better game. Like, Gears 2, like, looking back, it's not a great made game.
No.
So that's why I would just take Gears 3 over it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I spent a shitload of hours on this as well.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we got to end on something that we both did together. And I feel like there's going to be a lot more of that in this list going forward. Just a lot of similar crossing of paths. Because I'm finding out when you're best friends with someone for this long, since second grade, you tend to have a lot of the same interests. So we're starting to venture into our top 10 games and our top 5 albums, and I'm very excited for y'all to get to hear those. What time are we at?
Indeed.
14? Well, what else is there to talk about?
My shit's been blinking for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Do you want to say bye to everyone in my camera?
I mean, I think we just wrap it up.
This camera, that camera. Tell the folks at home what you got going on in your life.
Well, I'm about to start my next marathon on my channel, which I still only have one video shot for, which is bad because I start next Monday. Or just, next week. 7 days. It's starting. So come check that out. We're recording our next EP next month, so better get on that shit. Check out Dirge Names Explorer if you want to get ready for the next one, which I will not reveal the title yet, but
Of course not.
we got it. We got the artwork,
Yeah.
and it's we're ready to go. But
Okay.
yeah, come check it out, bitch.
Thank you to everyone who watched the 51st Dates clip on YouTube. It is our most viewed video in a very long time. Even though right now it only has 45 views, for us, it still means a lot that people are checking it out. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to see the next time that we talk about our favorite shit, and hopefully your favorite shit. We got more videos coming up, and I hopefully have more videos coming up. We'll see. Right now I'm as the kids would say, cooking. I'm cooking some stuff up. And so things have been kind of quiet on the home front recently, but you know what? That's okay, because eventually I am not going to stop posting content. And it's going to be great. I finished Persona 3 Reload. I got to date my favorite girl. And
You started Fallout 4.
I started Fallout 4, which we're actually going to play right after this.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Jumping on the train right before the TV show comes out, which, oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's what I got to...
I'm so hyped.
That's the only reason... That's the main reason why I wanted to start right now. A lot of good TV shows coming out. Congratulations to the folks at Amazon for putting out a really good trailer for Fallout. Congratulations to all of the Oscar winners from last night. As of filming this, the Oscars were yesterday, Sunday. All the Oppenheimer folks, Emma Stone, Hayao Miyazaki, which we're going to end up doing a video about at some point. Probably not anytime soon, but when his older movies come out back in theaters for Ghibli Fest, we're going to get back on that. Congrats to the Godzilla -1 team. I know I wasn't the biggest fan of your movie at first, not because it wasn't very well made, and I found out after the fact that your budget was very small, and you still made Godzilla look really good. Yeah, proud of you guys. Now that Godzilla is an Academy Award-winning franchise. What else? Is there anything else that won last? Oh, congratulations to John Cena. You look great, dude. That was a really good bit. And with that, I'm just trying to pad the runtime because having another 45-minute episode feels weird.
Goodbye, everyone.
Okay, I love you.